Hello everyone, so in this video we will be talking about the DJI O3 Air unit, and we will try to fly this using the DJI Goggles 3 and the FPV remote controller 3. Okay, so I have adjusted some settings in beta flight, so if you want to see how I adjusted mine, I'll show it to you later in this video. So we'll just try to fly this and let's see how it performs. Of course, we already know how it performs using ELRS system. So let's try this with FPV remote controller. So let's go. Let's do this flight. So this is our settings for the Pavo 20 in beta flight. So for the ports tab, I disabled UART3, which is for the ELRS, and we enabled UART5, which is for the S bus. Okay. Remember that UART5. If you're using Pavo Pico, you should be using UART6 because the Pavo Pico and the Pavo 20 have different flight controller. Okay, so just remember that UART5 for Pavo 20, UART6 for Pavo Pico. Okay, next in your settings would be go to receiver tab of beta flight, change this serial receiver provider from S bus. From Crossfire if you're if you are using ELRS or your TBS Crossfire, then go and change it to S bus, which is the settings for the DJI FPV remote controller 2 and 3. Okay, so that is S bus, then save. Okay, next go to modes, because the modes is quite different from using a Radio Master Zorro or whatever Radio Master or whatever controller you're using, and the layout of the DJI FPV controller is quite different. For example, if you will use the start and pause button of the FPV remote controller 3, it's actually auxiliary 3, aux 3. Okay, and if you'll be using then the three-way switch right next to the pause and home point button to your left, if you're looking at it from the top, the three-way switch would be the NS and the manual mode. Okay, so that would be auxiliary 1. Then there on your right, those three-way switch which has a record and up and down arrow would be auxiliary 2. Okay, now the record button, try not to touch it because it is actually for record purposes of the video or photo. And the start and stop button would be auxiliary 4. Okay, so those are the auxiliary that you might need for your modes. So if you want to copy my settings, here it is. Just use it to whatever would be useful for you. Now, for one thing that you need to remember, if you'll be using the home point button as your arm switch, try to move your slider right to the next, because the problem with the FPV remote controller 3 is that it has it doesn't have a middle ground in terms of the amount of the min max is quite difficult to to tell. So there's no middle way. So what you just need to do is just put it right above, probably around 1800, and so that if it's not pressed, it will be disarmed. Now when you switch it back on, this this orange thing here could go above the slider so that you could enable your arm. I had this problem before wherein I put the slider just at around 1500, and I'm guessing why is not arming. So this orange thing here doesn't reach the minimum and the maximum well output that you put on your slider. So just to make it easier, just put it at 1,800.
All right, so let's go. Cannot. As soon as I turn this on, I must fly this because it will overheat. All right. I'm not sure if we have to adjust our rate profile. Okay, it flies quite differently when I'm using ELRS. There are a lot of dogs because Casper went to our neighbor, my cousin. Whoa. It flies differently with the DJI system compared with ELRS. Weird. I didn't change the rate. I'm not sure if there's an effect. See, I'm not moving too much, but the quad is performing very, very quickly. See, it jumps. I cannot. Okay, low battery. Let's go back. I cannot. Oh, it's getting very, very hot. Okay, let's go down. Okay, it's getting really hot. I don't know why. Even though we are flying. I'm not sure what happened. Is it hot? No. Actually, oh, the motors are warm, around 40 degrees, I think. I think this propeller is way too much pitched for this quad. I think we have to go back and use the gem fan. This is the Emax Blur 2-inch propellers. Okay, so we changed our propeller to the Gemfan 2035. So this is a lower pitch compared to the Emax Blur. Okay, so let's do this flight. Let's go. This is way louder than the Emax. Still floaty, but much stable. It's more stable than the Emax. Trying to be careful on that lamppost. Okay, low battery, so you cannot do an outburst. Casper, 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 hello, hello, hello. Yeah, just go back. So this is the problem with a DJI system. You cannot go way beyond the low battery warning, because if we lose VTX while flying, we might lose the quad. Okay, so that is our test flight of the DJI O3 Air unit while using the DJI Goggles 3. This is our combo, and this was able to fly really well. Motor is not that hot, it's a bit warm, but it's not as hot while using the Emax. So I think if we go with the 4-bladed props, it will be too much for these motors. But I still have a 4-bladed propeller from HQ Props. I'll try to use it as well on the next flight. Let's see how it performs using that. The problem now is the battery. I do get a bit of sag when I'm trying to do a very quick power up. So we will end the video here. Hope to see you on the next one. Happy flying.